Hello. Welcome to another episode of Breathe More. For today's episode, I wanted us to talk about self-awareness. When I started on my healing journey, that was the most important thing, like the number one thing that was creating a huge impact in my life. For so long, I had no idea how my younger years, how my family dynamic, just all of the experiences that I have had were affecting or had affected and shaped the person that I am. And while there's a lot of beautiful qualities that came out of it, there were also a lot of habits and patterns and ways that I was showing up that were creating a lot of tension and problems and pain in my life. And so when I embarked on my healing journey and started to make connections about all of this, my past and my present, and started to identify the root causes of the pain that I was feeling, of the struggles that I was navigating, I started to feel empowered. And it also started to create a separation between what I was feeling and how I was showing up and my past experiences. For example, right now I'm in this small mountain town in Idlewild. It's about an hour away from Palm Springs, and it's really quiet. It's beautiful. There's all these pine trees. The house that I'm staying at has this beautiful seasonal creek that still has water in. It's everything that I've been wanting, which is quiet, a slower pace, a safe container for my body to heal from some health issues that I've been struggling with this year. However, as soon as I was driving up the mountain and I arrived, I started feeling this panic. And immediately the thought was, I don't want to be here. There's no way that I can live here full time. And as the days continued, I was still feeling this like tension and resistance, still feeling unsafe, even though it's so quiet. And what I realized was that part of me, that little girl who never got the experience to grow up in an environment where she felt completely safe and she was allowed to rest. She was feeling really uneasy. She was feeling unsafe. And she was starting to feel nervous that she's going to get in trouble for slowing down, for resting. And so then my brain was coming up with all these thoughts and experiences or reasons why we can't slow down, to the point where I had this panicked thought of, oh my gosh, my mastermind launch isn't going to be successful because the whole time that I'm here is basically when I'm promoting my mastermind. And I'm not going to get the results that I want. I need to be in LA in that chaotic energy, in having that sense of urgency in order to get the results that I want in order to be successful. When I had that thought come through, that was such a huge aha moment. All the other stuff I was already aware of, the feeling unsafe in the rest. It's something that I've actively been working with through breathwork, through other types of therapies like cranial sacral therapy, and just with my whole team of healers and therapists that I have. But this other feeling, this thought, this belief, this story of I need to be in chaos in order to thrive was mind-blowing. And it makes sense because, again, my whole life, there has been a lot of chaos, unpredictability. I have always had to, and I know that I thrive when there's crisis. Like I'm really great at problem solving and taking action. But when things are seemingly nothing's happening, I feel really uneasy. And so for so long, I have just kept myself busy. And that's something that I have been mirrored by my mom. She is someone that she's turning 70 this year, who's technically retired, but she's helping to take care of my niece and nephew. Um, Even when she's not working, she has to be doing something. It's very difficult for her. Her nervous system cannot be in the resting state. It feels unsafe. And so that's something that I learned from her and something that I have been actively trying to heal, undo, reprogram, and teach my body, my mind, my inner child that we can rest. We can live a slower pace life and still be successful and still have everything that we want. That doesn't change our personality, our environment, where we are. Like just because we are in a quiet place doesn't mean that all of a sudden our goals and our ambitions are going to disappear. And so I've been sitting with that. And I've been leaning into the discomfort and carving out time here in this mountain town to take a hike, to play in the creek, to not work 12-hour days. Because if I continue at the pace that I've been living my life, fast, hustling, little rest, it's going to catch up to me. It already has in so many ways. I have already experienced burnout. I have been struggling with health issues, and it's time. It really, truly is time. My body is begging me to slow down. And so one of the ways that I process that is by using breath work and meditation and all of my healing modalities to do that self-reflection, to process those emotions, that fear that has come up for me of being in this quiet place. And that's how I use it as well with my clients when we start to identify these limiting beliefs, these patterns, these habits that they have outgrown and that no longer support the type of life that they want to create for themselves. And so not only are you able to process these emotions, the beautiful thing about it, what I experience when I'm holding space and breath work for my clients is we might start with the obvious emotion, which a lot of times it tends to be fear or maybe anxiety. And as we start to dig in and excavate, okay, but what is this really about? Then quickly there's all of these other emotions that want to be acknowledged and processed. A lot of times it is rage and anger. And so in a safe container, when someone's holding space for you, or even if you're doing this practice on your own, you're able to express it. You're able to embody it so that in your day-to-day life, it's not coming out as an explosive remark or you being passive aggressive. That's something that I have had to catch myself doing because that's another thing that I learned on how to not be direct on how it is that I'm feeling. And so it's beautiful, this somatic processing with the active breathing and the embodiment and the moving of energy of these emotions. And then being in a state where it's like, okay, what's a new thought that I can have about what I'm currently experiencing, or what's going to be supportive in how I want to move forward? And so you start to plant a new seed, a new way of thinking of things, a reframe. And that is transformative. That's what starts to help you show up in the world differently. And then when you do that, you start to get different results. Another gift that has come from the self-awareness is having so much more compassion for myself and even patience, where when I notice myself falling back into old patterns, old beliefs, ways of dealing with stuff, a trigger response, instead of feeling like, oh my gosh, I failed, or feeling upset that I'm still not healed in that area of my life or regarding that situation, I take a pause and I identify, okay, what part of me is feeling unsafe right now? And a lot of times it is going to be my inner child. It is going to be Lily, who is feeling scared and unsafe. And so I take a deep breath and I start talking to her. I ask her what's going on. How are you feeling? How can I help you? What do you need? What type of support do you need? A lot of times I also provide a reframe for her, a different way of viewing what's happening, letting her know that we are safe right now, that we're not going to get in trouble because we're just laying on the couch and reading a book, that we don't have to wake up on the weekends and immediately start cleaning the house, because if we don't do that, we're going to get in trouble. And that's something that I did experience as a child, where my parents needed a lot of support. And being the oldest child, I was the default, where helping with my younger sisters, helping my mom cook, clean, helping my dad, helping them also being first generation, and them being immigrants from Mexico, a lot of times I had to be their translator. And so a lot of adult responsibilities were a part of my childhood. And so it's been a process to create a space for my inner child to finally be a kid. And so with that, it was going on that hike because we wanted to be outdoors yesterday. It was putting on our water shoes and walking in the creek and just hanging out while we're listening to music. And so doing that, connecting with my inner child, regulating my nervous system, helping that part of me feel safe, creates then space and brings me back to this present moment of what actually is happening right now. And what am I in control of? And what steps can I take to get the results that I want? It's empowering and life-changing. And I just love helping my clients navigate through this process. So I invite you today to do some self-reflection, to take a pause and notice your behaviors, your patterns. Have you been short-tempered lately? Impatient? Do you find yourself snapping or shutting down? Take a deep breath and notice what is happening in your body, what's happening with your emotions, and maybe even journal about it. Start to do that digging work on your own. Start to identify, what is this current situation? What does that remind you of? Or who does this person that upsets you? Is there someone else in your life that reminds you of them? It's like we're doing investigative work. But once you start to find those pieces, things start to make sense in a different way. And it also gives you a blueprint on what changes you have to make. I would love to hear from you as well. If you decide to do this exercise of self-reflection, what has come up for you? Feel free to send me an email or send me a message on Instagram. I always love to learn what you're currently working on. And if you would like additional support in doing this excavating work and doing this digging work with someone like me, please reach out as well. I have different programs where I can hold space for you, whether it's one-on-one with my reset program or in my mastermind container. This is so much of the work that we do, because in my Dream Bigger Mastermind, we are working towards goals. We got to find out what's blocking us first before we can actually receive or call in, manifest, however you want to call it, those desires. Thank you so much for listening today. I look forward to connecting with you real soon, and I hope you're having a beautiful day. Bye.